Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to give you the demo of this application I-beam Upstand plate. This component is commonly used in the residential projects. I'm going to show you how you can use this application to steel as well as timber section. To apply the connection, pick the primary and pick the secondary and press the middle mouse. Let me apply this to these two channels. And I can also apply this to channels connecting at the corners. Let me show you how we can modify these details. For example, let me start with this one. So this is where you can change the upstand plate properties, and you can choose whether you need a near side or far side or both. And this is where you can offset the distance. And this is, you can change the bolt distance here. If you're applying this connection to the timber section, you can also change this one to hole. If you don't need upstand plate, then change this to none and select and modify. If I go to the cap plate, you can change the plate length in all the four sides. I just entered the distance here, 180, and this is where you can control the bolt distance. Since I'm using this field, I enable this show option for the whole properties, and then you can set the offset distance, the distance between the bolts, and you can move from the center of the member. For example, if I type 0, and then I'm just going to move it, let me type -20, and this is the distance between the bolts, and this is the distance from the edge of the post. For example, if I make it to 50 and modify this, let me show this end. In the interest of the time, I have already saved the connection details. So since I'm extending the plate on both the sides, so I'm using show option here and show this field so that I can have bolts on both the sides. If you need a gap between these two members, go to the upstand plate and enter the gap distance. You can see 5 mm gap between the two channels. Let me just go to the L section. I'm going to make changes. If I go to the cap plate, instead of here, let me type it 180. You can see how I change the plate. And since I'm using this field, instead of this, I'll change this option to show and modify this. If I need 2 bolts, let me type the distance as 90, and let me make it 0 to see where it moves the bolt. From the edge of the post, I'm going to move this distance to 30. You can use any of these 4 fields to change the shape of the plate. If you're using a square or rectangular plate, you can offset using these 4 fields. Let me just go to timber section. I'm going to take timber single, apply, and then select the component, pick the post and pick the timber and press the middle mouse. Actually, I need just a hole on the plate. What I have done, if I go to the upstand plate, I can change this option to hole and set the hole size tolerance and set the bolt size tolerance and then the standard and the cut length. Let me just reduce the cut length. Similarly, if I just go to the cap plate, so I'm using the hole option here. And since I'm using these 2 fields, you can see I enable these 2 fields. Let me just apply the connection to 2 timber sections. Change this one to timber double and modify. So I don't need bolt here. So if I go to the upstand plate, change this one to hole. Let me go to this end and make it standard and modify this. I can enter the number of bolts and then the distance. As you can see how easily you can apply this connection between post and steel members or the timber sections. If you have any question, feel free to get in touch with me, and thank you for watching this video.